Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hello, I am DJ Ross. I am in Mountain View, California.
Each week on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week, that list includes Ooblets and Yomawari, Night Alone.
Ooh.
Plus, I am digging deeper into Splatoon 3's online multiplayer and occasionally winning a match or two now.
Oh, have you prestiged yet?
Let's not get crazy.
All right, well, next week maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Ask again later.
Results unclear. However the saying goes.
Are we doing funny sayings from the Magic 8 Ball?
That was the Magic 8 Ball. Yeah, do they still have those things?
I think that's
People
a thing.
still play pool. I don't know.
I'm sure there's an app for that.
That's probably right. Yeah.
Yep.
It's all on your phone now.
A TikTok filter or some shit.
It turns you into the Magic 8 Ball.
You just shake your head and a fortune comes out. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it wasn't what I was expecting, but It's fine.
I should ask you, DJ, because you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this. Everyone on the internet has an opinion about the Super Mario Brothers movie trailer.
All right, here we go.
Let's rip that Band-Aid off right here in the first couple minutes of the show. What did you think?
Oh, man. My take on the Super Mario movie trailer, the teaser, rather,
yes,
is that I was disappointed that there wasn't more, take ammunition in the teaser. I watched it, and I didn't know what to think going into it. We've spoken at length about how we feel about Chris Pratt. But after seeing it, I was just like, this is fine. It actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't think I can, drum up some scandalous, stupid opinion about this thing. I don't know how they did it. It was just the Nintendo magic. They made it take-proof.
Yeah.
So that was my take. I was just like, oh, I wish people were angrier about this.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly appears to have been scrubbed of any sort of meme potential or, what will the internet obsess over for a week and a half before they move on to some other new thing. People didn't like Mario's butt, apparently, in the poster.
Yes, that was the sole take.
Sure. But he said 4 words in the trailer. I think it was a better showcase for Jack Black as Bowser, which was perfect as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. They did that incredibly stilted sort of lead up with Miyamoto and whoever the CEO or somebody from Imagine, what was it, Imagination?
Oh, Chris something or other, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, I get that your job is not to just be on the Nintendo Direct, so that is why you're just reading off cue cards. But then they had Chris Pratt on, and I was like, okay, well, so you are actually an actor. Why are you so wooden?
Yeah.
During this little intro to this.
It was all, hi, my name is Chex Notes Chris Pratt, and I'm here to talk about the Chex Notes Super Mario Brothers movie.
Right, yeah, so that was a little disconcerting.
Yeah.
But then Jack Black showed up, and I was like, oh, thank God, somebody is actually here to do work. And he was terrific. He was great. That put me at ease for the rest of the day. It's like, oh, I don't even consider myself a huge fan of Jack Black, but as soon as he showed up, I was just relieved that he was there.
There was video going around over the internet of him at the New York City Comic Con, where the trailer was first shown. Apparently on stage at the reveal, they had a giant Bowser's throne. And Jack Black at some point got in it and started ad-libbing Bowser lines loudly into a microphone, much to the delight of the gathered crowd. And it was fantastic. I was like, okay, this is Jack Black's to own at this point. I really am just here for Jack Black. So you can do whatever you want with Mario, and I'm all about Team Bowser. Let's do this.
Yeah. Oh, Team Bowser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Chris Pratt was fine. Yeah. He didn't go full, Charles Martinet Mario. but I think that would just be weird for a whole movie. I don't know if that's what you want.
Yeah. I mean, I also don't know if I want him doing the most stereotypical Italian guy accent ever either.
No.
So,
No.
yeah. I mean, it is a thankless job that Chris Pratt has, I think, in this situation. But yeah, hopefully there's enough good stuff sort of surrounding him that maybe it won't be so obvious.
It was kind of difficult to get a read on just to really hear the full like form of the Mario voice from that teaser, because he only said like 4 words, like you said.
Right, yeah.
But those 4 words were fine. It was completely inoffensive. And yeah, like I said, take proof somehow. So
we did not get any of Charlie Day as Luigi. We saw him in the trailer, but did not hear him speak.
I think he like screamed at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I don't know if Charlie Day is. He wouldn't be my first pick. I feel like Luigi needs to be meeker somehow.
Yeah.
But you know, well, whatever. Take free. This is a take free zone of the Mario movie.
I'm excited about Charlie Day. I think that's fine. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, when the music soared and the giant airship landed and Bowser got off and it had a whole like Star Wars Empire thing going on, and there was the funny line with the penguins and stuff, and I'm like, this feels good. I feel good about this. I have chills. Like the arm hair was standing up. Yeah, and then we get to the Mushroom Kingdom, and it was a little less exciting and a little less dramatic. And I'm like, all right, well, it's very early. This thing comes out in 7 months. So there's still time to either win or lose my vote.
Did you have any thoughts on Mario's weird appearance?
No, I mean, we've seen enough sort of variations on Mario over the years that I think it's kind of hard to narrow down exactly what he looks like. It's like trying to sort of say which version of Link is the definitive version. Like, there's been so many variations on the Link look that
I feel like they've got like Mario at least has a pretty defined look.
You think?
Throughout all the games he shows up in. Yeah, I mean, if you don't go back to like Mario 3 or back way earlier in his career, like in all the recent games he's been in, I feel like he's looked pretty uniform.
I'll have to do my research on this. Maybe I'm full of shit.
And I didn't even have a huge issue with how his face looks in this one. It's a little different than what I expected, but like it's fine. Everything is fine.
I mean, Mario in the games is usually a bit of a blank slate, right? I mean, he's sort of voiceless protagonist. He doesn't really say a lot. You get some expressions every now and then, but seeing him in the trailer speaking and emoting was definitely sort of doing things we've never seen him do in video games before. So there's going to be some, brief disconnect while I readjust my expectations.
I just mentioned it because I saw some comments calling for like, are we going to have a bad or an ugly Sonic makeover situation like they did with the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which like I didn't think it was that shocking. Like
no,
I think it looked good.
Either. Yeah. I think it's about dimensions more than anything, right? He was maybe a little taller than maybe I was expecting, a little more stretched out. Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to watch it 6 more times before I develop an opinion on that.
6 more times in addition to the 6 times you already went through it.
Yeah, I mean, I did it twice back to back initially, just to make sure. But
just to hear Jack Black again.
Right. Yeah. Well, good. I wasn't sure if you'd be like, whatever, or just team curmudgeon on that. So it seems like you're kind of somewhere in between.
No, I mean I'm still like kind of whatever because I'm not in love with Mario, but I'm like looking forward to it. I guess I think it looks fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's potential to do a lot of like fun Nintendo things with a big movie like that, and I suspect there'll be lots of little, even if the poster's any indicator, little Easter eggs and things like that kind of buried in it.
Oh, I don't know if I saw the poster yet.
Oh, there's a teaser poster of him standing in a plaza that looks like sort of a night market essentially, and it's all run by.
This is the one where he lost his butt.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Because he's back to the camera, and there's a giant hill with Mushroom Castle on the top of it, and what looks like sort of Mario levels built up to it. And people have sort of picked apart the intricacies of the little market. There's like a cheap in a fish tank and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of little
that's good.
kind of Mario gifs built into it.
You said there was a lot of opportunity for like Nintendo inside jokes or Easter eggs and stuff, but I feel like Nintendo just doesn't seem that self-aware. Like I'm not really sure what sort of style of Easter eggs to expect.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of like the Sonic movies have a lot of good sort of Sega stuff hidden in there.
Sure.
But I can't really see the same, like quite the same stuff coming out of Nintendo.
I guess it depends on the sensibility they're going for. Again, sort of which version of Mario is this? Because the Paper Mario games generally have other kind of Mario goofs, and sometimes even sort of broader Nintendo goofs.
Sure.
At one point in one of the Paper Mario games, you get a a Metroid helmet.
Oh yeah,
and things like that.
I was just going to ask, like, do you think we will see a Link cameo or some sort of allusion to him?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's distinctly possible. The thing in the Paper Mario game was like a throwaway. It's like a storeroom you find built into a level, and you open the door, and the shelves are lined with like Nintendo things. So yeah, I mean, again, there's just it would be surprising to me if there are not funny little presents for the Nintendo people buried in the movie somewhere.
I'm sure there will be some, but I'm just wondering, like, I don't know, how far outside of the Mario universe are they going to go with it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know Donkey Kong's in it, so they've got Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, so.
I don't know about that. Okay, that's my first, like, hot take on that.
We will get some Donkey Kong. And the extended Donkey Kong family, right? Didn't they announce like Diddy Kong or somebody else is in it too? So
is he good? I'm not a huge fan of Donkey Kong in general. Oh, Cranky Kong is like Fred Armisen or somebody?
I don't remember.
So it's somewhat unusual.
Yeah.
That could be good. I kind of don't acknowledge that Donkey Kong is part of the Mario continuum or whatever. Just not a fan.
There would be. It is. Cranky Kong is indeed Fred Armisen.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
There'd be no Mario without Jumpman and Donkey Kong. So
that's true. Still don't have to like it though.
Yeah, right. You're welcome to your own revisionist history, DJ.
Oh, he keeps taking up slots in my Mario Karts.
But yeah, I remain cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it looks good.
Yeah.
I think any weird reservations I had about Chris Pratt are mostly gone.
It appears to at least been made by people who have a great sort of love and reverence for Mario and Nintendo things, as opposed to, the Uncharted movie.
I thought you were going to say the previous Super Mario Brothers movie.
Or the previous Super Mario Brothers movie, yeah. Which is, a massive catastrophe.
Yeah. Oh, man. Real missed opportunity to not have just John Leguizamo play Luigi again. Real redemption arc for him.
Yeah, he should be invited back at least, right?
Yeah.
Like one more try to get it right 35 years later.
It's like, please, it's the black stain on my career. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, we talked about the Mario movie.
We did. We should talk about Extra Life.
Oh, yeah, we should.
It's coming. So for those who don't know, Extra Life 2022 is a 24-hour gaming marathon to raise money for children's Miracle Network hospitals all over the world. DJ and I are playing for hospitals in our communities. People all over the place will be playing for hospitals in their communities. It is generally sort of one of the bigger kind of one-day fundraisers to support great venues like that. To make sure at the very least these kids have something good to do during a very sort of maybe dark time in their lives. So this will be our 9th year participating in this fun charity. And it all happens on Saturday, November 5th. We would love your support. You can go to VGHangover.com/extralife for some more info on how to donate, how to watch us, how to join us for video games on that day. And what else, DJ?
I always think it's fun because we would normally say like, oh, what time should you tune in on Saturday? And the answer is all day because it's a 24-hour thing. So just anytime you're free,
sure,
just head over to twitch.tv/VGHangover and something will be happening. But it's usually a lot of fun. We do a little multiplayer with the community. We are narrowing down those selections. So in general, stay tuned for a more defined schedule. soon, but it's coming up, so we should probably nail that down.
Yeah, it is just a few weeks away.
Yeah. You playing anything unusual, anything weird that people should tune in for?
TBD.
TBD.
I've not done the big work on assembling my my play schedule down. I've got a rough idea of like sitting in traffic and mulling it over and what game should I play, and then it more or less stops there. So I need to take pen to paper and actually commit to some games. So stay tuned. We'll update next week. I promise I'll have a little more info.
All right. The only definitive things on my schedule so far are I usually open it up with the Spelunky Daily Challenge.
Yeah.
This year, I was like, one of the Spelunky streamers I watch has been doing back-to-back Spelunky 1 and 2 challenges, so I'm going to give that a try, see how that goes.
Are they still supporting daily challenges in Spelunky 1?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, should be fun. I haven't played that game in a long time. And then, usually late at night, towards the end of the marathon, I will play some spooky games.
Oh.
So, trying to figure out what to play there. But that also leads into my, as I in the run up to Extra Life, I am doing these Spooky Saturday streams, just playing spooky games on the weekends. And I've come up with quite an enormous list of spooky games that I want to get through.
You have indeed. You shared it with me, and I was like, "This is a lot of games, man."
Yeah, it started out because we were talking about, oh, should we do like a Halloween spooky game show this year? And the answer is, of course, yes.
Yep.
But in the process, I just ended up with this enormous list of games. So I thought, well, I'll just play spooky games all month, apparently. But so that's every Saturday. And also, at some point during Extra Life, I'll be playing some terrifying, perhaps, game.
Nice. Yeah, you usually sort of go there late into the evening, right?
Yeah. That's the best time to play spooky games.
Absolutely. No, I don't disagree. You're absolutely right.
I mean, for me, it's not. The best time for me is like in the middle of the afternoon when it's still light outside. But that's not as fun. Or is it? I don't know.
Yeah. It's the right kind of fun.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah, my current sort of multiplayer gaming obsession is the aforementioned Splatoon 3. So there will definitely be some of that happening that day if anybody wants to squad up.
Excellent.
Yeah, there's plenty of room on our little group to hop in there. So it's teams are only 4 players, but we can find a way to rotate or just to play private matches or something like that if we wanted to. So if you're playing Splatoon 3 and would like to get some time in on Saturday, November 5th, I'll look for details on that coming soon too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Is it easy to get a game going, like everybody on the same team? I remember we had some rough times trying to play Splatoon 2 a few years ago.
It seems a lot easier now. They've sort of customized and fine-tuned the lobby menu pretty dramatically since Splatoon 2, and you basically have your list of options to, like, I want to create a private match, or I want to go a public match, or I want to go a public match but with friends. So there's all these little things that you select from the menu, and then while it sort of does the work behind the scenes to glue it all together. You can also just create a lobby to have your friends join and then start a game with them. You can start a public match with them, private match, etc. So again, it gives you sort of a pretty fine-tunable list of relatively easy to navigate options for how to start a game and make sure you and your friends don't get separated.
Oh, good.
Yeah, which was not always the case
a lot of
in
issues.
Splatoon. So yeah.
We would like get into the same lobby, but then there was a question of whether we would ultimately end up on the same team, which, it's not the worst thing that could happen. Sometimes it's kind of fun to face off against people who, your former teammates.
Oh, definitely.
But eventually you want to end up on the same team.
Yeah. I spent some time playing last week with Spin Doctor from our Discord. And this was born out of my frustration from the previous evening, sitting in my hotel room on hotel Wi-Fi, which supported the game beautifully, playing match after match after match, where I just got stomped by no end of inevitably, probably, Japanese 12-year-olds. I don't know that for a fact, but if I had to guess. So yeah, I was like, will somebody please play this game with me? So yeah, we played together the next night, and we did really well. It was actually sort of the first collection of games, like seriously, like 6 or 7 matches in a row. We were undefeated. It was pretty good. So yeah, big shout out to Spin Doctor for keeping me alive, and for helping to break my losing streak.
I was gonna ask what what do you do in that situation if you're just on a bad losing streak? Like, do you try and mix it up a little bit, or sounds like the answer is you call for reinforcements?
Call for help.
What would you normally do in that case?
Well, I mean, you can wait for the boards to scrub the levels. There's only a handful of levels available per hour, and every hour at the top of the hour it resets, and they share 3 new levels. And
that's just bad map luck.
Maybe, yeah, and then sometimes that scrambles the teams enough that the people who were kicking your ass habitually are maybe now kicking somebody else's ass.
Okay.
Yeah. Or sometimes I'll just take a break and come back and again hope that it's reset far enough that I can maybe jump in with some other people.
Does it usually just match you against the same team over and over again?
It seems like as you sort of get into a rhythm with a group, it does keep you kind of glued together with those people, even if they're not on your friends list or anything like that. So, people leave and people join and stuff like that. So there is some variation, but I do find that match after match, I tend to see some of the same names over and over.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool with Spin Doctor to have somebody that I could, voice chat with on Discord and collaborate and call out targets and conspire with to like, we're going to hang back a little bit and ink the base and let everybody else kind of futz around in the middle. And, if there was a path that was clear or a second way around to get to the enemy's base and things like that, we were calling that out to each other. So it definitely helped. Plus I was playing the dualies, the sort of rapid fire duel machine pistols, and she was playing a lot more of the roller, so she was a good inker while I was a good sort of killer essentially. So I think we definitely spent a fair amount of time sort of helping each other stay alive and trying to ink some territory. So it was good. It was definitely a good team up.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I earned more XP in the games that I played that night than I've played. I earned in the previous 2 weeks of playing this game. So it definitely helps with the unlocks when you win a few of these.
Do you get more experience if you're playing with friends or something like that?
I don't know if you get more experience for playing with friends. I suspect it's weighted in that direction somewhere, but you get XP bonuses just for winning and for if you're like the number 1 player on your team who inks the most territory and stuff like that. So all of those things add up at the end of a match.
Yeah.
And they add up even more, obviously, if your team won.
I was just thinking, I think in Overwatch, at least in Overwatch 1, when I played it, you would get a small percentage extra experience, depending on how many people on your friends list were on your team.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
That was interesting. Yeah. I think it's fine because the experience in that game, it was really just put towards cosmetic things like different skins or stamps or not stamps, sprays. It seems like that would be a problem if you're actually getting stronger by earning experience. But I thought it was just kind of an interesting way to incentivize sort of more coordination.
Yeah.
More teamwork.
Yeah. I mean, you are unlocking some sort of character progress in Splatoon, but it's marginal. All of your, your apparel and stuff like that, your t-shirt, your boots all have 3 little markers of upgrades and abilities. If you upgrade your t-shirt by just winning with it on more than X number of times, you'll respawn 2 seconds faster the next time and things like that. So it shaves a little bit of time off. There's one that you swim faster when you're in ink, and I'm like, that seems really good. Combine that with the respawn. So there's definitely, and it's seconds. It's not minutes by any stretch, but in a game where matches are only 4 minutes long, stuff like that adds up and it makes a difference. So, there's definitely an advantage to sort of, picking a kit that works for you and continuing to sort of level it up and unlock those little badges.
Okay, yeah, I vaguely remember that from Splatoon 2, though you're kind of incentivized to stick with the same weapon at least. Okay, that makes sense.
If you don't care about sort of min-maxing crap like that and just want to put on the stuff that looks cool, there's certainly an argument to be made that much of that stuff is fairly incremental and doesn't really have a ton of bearing.
Well, that's the age-old issue where it's this shirt looks way cooler. It just doesn't have the same number of perk slots or whatever. It's like wearing the ugly armor in Dragon Quest.
Yeah. Oh, I wore so much ugly armor in Dragon Quest games.
Yeah.
I remember having something in one of the Dragon Quest games that was like a headband with just one bare feather sticking out of it. And I'm like, this one looks ridiculous, but two is probably racist.
Yeah, that's questionable.
Yeah, problematic at best.
What's your character's background?
Exactly. Who's your favorite football team?
Yeah.
But yeah, it had some awesome perk to it that like, well, I'm never giving up this hat regardless of how
Yeah.
So I think I sort of, I kept that hat on for hundreds of hours.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just make sure you change your t-shirt every now and then.
But so Splatoon 3 continues to be super fun. I've had a really, really good time with it. It's even more fun when you win, but
Sure.
You win some, you lose some, I guess is the way it goes.
It's hard in those games. I mean, especially in any team-based game, to really be the one who's like carrying your team. Right? I feel like it comes down to, you win about half the time, unless your team is just incredibly stacked or something like that. But I've kind of made my peace with it whenever I don't even play competitive stuff in games that often anymore, but I've kind of just resigned myself to going, well, I'm one of 32 people on this team, so I can be playing amazingly, but there's a good chance it's not going to make a huge impact on the final outcome.
Yeah, I think when the scale of it is that big, that you're probably not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it does seem like if just 4v4,
right,
you could potentially have more of an impact.
There's definitely room in there to be a rock star and to like carry your team, I think. I am seldom that person. I'm a good solid second or third place on the team. I'm almost never the last guy, certainly almost never the first guy. So I'm a reliable number 2 or 3. But it seems like you need a good balance in this of like maybe 2 people who are going to try to just ink as much as they possibly can and go for that territory win. Which is really the thing that matters the most in this game. And 2 people who are going to try to sort of keep them perpetually in the respawn animation. So if you can sort of find a way to like communicate to your non-communicative, teammates that you kill while I splat, you can generally sort of hold your own, I found a little bit. So it's just sort of hard to sort of like figure out what those roles are going to be when you don't, when it's a bunch of strangers and none of you have headsets on or are chatting with each other.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how the pro Splatoon players set up. If they've got the 2 like support inkers and the 2 sort of skirmishers or whatever go at it.
I've never seen sort of professional competitive Splatoon. I know it comes up at things like Evo and whatnot, but I've never actually seen that happen. I'm sure it's probably quite educational.
What did Nintendo? They did like a big tournament for Splatoon 2, I think it was. I didn't watch the entire thing, but it was amazing seeing some of the plays happening.
Yeah.
Like I know enough, or I understand enough of Splatoon where most of what I was seeing made sense, which is good. It's not always the case if I'm watching like high-level Tekken play or something. But it was exciting. It's kind of cool to see a game like that in that situation.
Played by people at that skill level.
Yeah.
Instead of me just fumbling through it.
There's just like 3 pro Splatoon players, and then there's Randy in the corner. It's like, what's that guy doing here?
The Splatoon has the thing where you when you're dead and like the respawn counter is going, you can scan the entire map of play, and your teammates on your team, the other 3 players, if they're alive currently, will show up as icons that you can spawn on, regardless of where they are in the map.
Oh yeah, good feature.
Yeah, I love that. But so you don't always have to sort of start all the way back in your home base. But I have a bad habit of somehow picking the one person on my team who is currently surrounded by 3 or 4 players from the other team.
Oh, does it still let you spawn on them?
And it still lets you spawn on them, yeah. So as long as they're alive, if they die, obviously, it's going to sort of remove them as an option. But if they're hanging in there, if they're sort of fighting to their last breath, I'm going to spawn on them, and I'm going to be the next one to die. So
right.
Yeah, it's usually me sort of like quantum leaping into the middle of some giant skirmish going, oh boy, I screwed up. This was a mistake.
Yeah. Interesting that it lets you do that.
Yeah.
I think, whatever the last squad-based game that I played, probably one of the Battlefield games, it would prevent you from spawning on somebody if they were currently in combat. which is, I think it's probably so you don't run into situations like the one you're running into, but also so it's a little more difficult to just get immediate reinforcements.
Right. Yeah.
But it's funny that they would lock you out in what seems like a very serious multiplayer game, but Splatoon, they're just like, no, just go for it. You just spawn into the middle of 4 other like enemy team members.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, continues to be fun. It's a very good time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, I don't play a lot of online multiplayer anymore, but I found myself thinking, like, I kind of miss back in the early days of the show when I would just be playing Battlefield 3 until like 1 in the morning and poring over all the different gun attachments and figuring out which one was, my build.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of miss it. I wonder if I should just become just get gross with some Battlefield again. And then I remembered people really didn't like the last one, so I thought, that's maybe now's not the time. Maybe the next one is.
Yeah, wait for the next one. Yeah. And then wait a year for it to get patched, because that's
right.
That's how that goes with Battlefield, right?
I'm still waiting. Yeah, well, I thought the last one, I thought that was how it was going to go, because it had a real rocky launch, and I was just like, just give it a couple months,
They all do, yeah.
And then it kind of never got back on track, so I don't know what's going on with it. Maybe the cycle is broken.
The Splatoon is always there waiting for you.
Maybe I should switch over to Splatoon.
I've had little obsessions like that over the years. I've played some Battlefield. I really like the Battlefield Bad Company games. I played both of those online quite a bit. Yeah, that series never went anywhere.
I was gonna say it's been a while since one of those came out.
Yeah, but yeah, you and I've played SOCOM together with a bunch of random folks on the internet. We've played lots of GTA games on the internet. Burnout, Paradise, I think we played a lot of. So yeah, every now and then I get a little bee in my bonnet for some online multiplayer game. It doesn't tend to last very long, though.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're adults to like make appointments to play video games.
Yeah. No, I definitely haven't done a lot of stuff that was coordinated like that. I was just thinking, man, I did play quite a bit of that Halo Infinite when it was out last like December or whatever.
Oh, I do remember you
didn't really stick with it.
Yeah. I have better luck with things like Borderlands or the Division games where,
like
pick
more
one or
co-op
two
stuff.
Yeah, consistent people that I can kind of roll with, and we find an hour here or there to get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun. And again, you get the same sort of satisfying thing of poring over stats on guns, trying to figure out which one is slightly better than the other one.
Sure, but it's
which gray beanie is better than the other gray beanie.
It's not the same as fragging people online.
No. But there's something to be said for that as well.
Sure.
Other people online are usually terrible.
Not doing that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
One of my friends was trying to get me into Overwatch 2 because that just launched.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know. Like I had a good time with the first one, but also just every interaction I had with anybody in that game was just the worst. I don't know what it is about the Blizzard fan base specifically, but they just seem like awful people.
Those are the real gamers, DJ.
It is, unfortunately. Or they are. Well, so I don't know.
Me either. It's all right. Lots of single-player games you can always play.
Yeah, that's true. That's what it comes down to.
Where you're the only awful person playing.
Right. That's how I like it. Exactly. Nobody can be more awful than me.
Trying to steal my thunder. So tell me about Yomawari Night Alone.
Ooh, yeah. So I played this spooky game this weekend just to kick off the spooky season. This is not a recent game, but there's a sequel coming out soon. It's actually the third game in the series, so I think it's been popping up on all these like spooky game recommendation lists I've been reading. And I never really, I didn't know much about it. And I looked at some screenshots, and it looks very different than most spooky games that people were recommending. It looks like you play as this cute little like anime character who is sort of the super deformed proportions, like the huge head and kind of the Bomberman, just slit eyes. And the whole game takes place in this kind of isometric 2D perspective. So very different than your typical, like how I imagine a survival horror game, like Resident Evil or Silent Hill or sort of my go-tos, where you're just steering this cute little character around this little Japanese town. And I was looking at screenshots and I thought, well, okay, so is this actually scary? Like, is this a trick? Because who knows how it's going to go. Maybe it looks cute. Maybe it is just horrifying once you start it up and get 30 minutes into it. Like, am I walking into a trap here? And I did a little research because I don't want to end up in, a terrible situation. And the internet could just not seem to agree on whether it's scary or not. But I chalk some of that up to just some people are just numb to horror games at this point. And on the flip side, some people just can't deal with any amount of scariness at all. So really inconclusive research. But I said to myself, I really like the look of it. I was sort of thinking, like, how scary could this possibly be? So we'll give it a shot. And I think my evaluation on it is it was just about the right amount of scariness for me. Like, I made it through the whole thing. So there's that. I was never just, like, paralyzed in a corner and unable to proceed or anything like that. But at the same time, it was very cute and sort of, like, looks very cartoony. But throughout the whole thing, it was just kind of tense, which I think that's where I want to be. I just want to be tense for 3 hours while I'm playing.
That's the right level of terror, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't like... I was worried because people said it had a lot of jump scares, which is, like, my least favorite thing.
Yeah.
Which I don't even find... Like, that's not what makes a good horror game to me. That's just kind of irritating.
I agree.
Because it's just a loud noise suddenly.
Well, and it's never satisfying. It's always sort of like, oh, it's the cat.
Right. Yeah. No, it's like, oh, well, you surprised me again. Great job. But I, just not, like you said, it's not satisfying. But knowing that this was sort of a Japanese horror game, I was really worried that, okay, so if it does have a reputation for having jump scares, the worst thing that they could do is, just be walking around and suddenly it shows me like a really gross looking face right up on the screen. Or there's like a ghost way off in the distance and suddenly it runs up right in your face at like 100 miles an hour. Those are the two worst possible things that could happen. And I have to say, the latter didn't really happen. The first one, and so like mild spoilers for this game, I hope that's okay because it's fairly old at this point. The first thing that happens, or the first like jump scare that happens, is you're walking down the street and you see the first sort of like the first ghost that you encounter, and it just looks like a little cartoon like stick figure. It looks like an Enderman from Minecraft almost, and you see it there, and as you approach it, like that's the face that gets thrown up on the screen to try and scare you. But it's such a goofy like cartoon drawing of a ghost almost. It just looked like somebody put a big like emoji on your screen, and it took me a second, like oh, that was the jump scare. I was supposed to be startled at this big cartoon face. But I found the whole experience kind of very endearing that they were like doing that classic sort of spooky face jump scare, but with the sort of Yomawari aesthetic cartoon ghost in the middle of the screen. So I thought that was very funny. So as for the actual game, you play as a young girl in this Japanese town who is out walking her dog in the middle of the night. So, not off to a great start.
Bad choices made all around, yeah.
Yeah, bad choices. So, trying to avoid spoilers in this case, but an incident occurs, and as a result, the dog gets off the leash. So, you run back home to your house where your big sister is. And you have this empty leash, and your big sister says, oh, well, I gotta go out and find the dog. So she goes and starts looking for the dog. And now your sister is missing. So now you gotta go find your sister. And so just this whole chain of events where you're just like, well, you should have just stayed at home, kid. So you go out looking for her, and suddenly there are just all these creepy Japanese ghosts around. Like the one that tries to do the jump scare on you. And from there, it turns into kind of like your classic survival horror atmosphere. It reminded me a lot of Silent Hill, actually, because you'll be walking around and suddenly, like, your heart will start beating faster, and the screen will start like pulsating a little bit because it means there's a ghost nearby. So very similar to how the radio worked in those games.
Right. Yeah.
And there's nothing really you can do to fight them. So you have the first thing you can do is you can just you want to avoid them. Or if they start chasing you, which in some cases they will do, you can hide in a bush and until the ghost sort of passes by, like gets bored and goes somewhere else. And eventually you get some other tools you could use to deal with them. Like you have a flashlight, which felt like it was very Death Stranding in a way, because unless you have the flashlight on, the ghosts are most of them are invisible. So your only indication that there's a ghost nearby is that heartbeat and how fast your heart is going at that moment. And then you pick up other items like pebbles that you can throw to distract them as you try and like tiptoe around the side. But that's basically how the game plays out. You just go out in this town and try and find what happened to your sister and eventually your dog, while there are just all these ghosts roaming around. And you do sort of like these, you solve these very survival horror-esque puzzles.
I was going to say, what are you doing during all of this besides exploring? Are you fighting?
Yeah.
Are you hiding? Are you...
No, there's no fighting. It's mostly avoiding ghosts. The puzzles, I mean, it's very generous to even call them puzzles. The sort of thing where you like run into a locked gate and you go, oh, I don't have the key for this. So then you have to go find the key somewhere. Nothing quite as nonsensical as a lot of the puzzles that showed up in Resident Evil and Silent Hill back in the day.
Well, that's good.
But yeah, it's mostly comes down to just finding an item to unlock a gate, or finding some other item that maybe you have to put in a specific place or something like that. But yeah, it's divided up into chapters, which you spend sort of like each one takes place in a different region of the town. So for instance, at one point you go to like you look for your sister at the school, or in the rice fields, or there's like a little downtown area. And each area has kind of its own little gimmick. In some cases, they will have sort of a signature spirit that is kind of haunting the area, which was kind of a hit or miss. I think it was interesting how each area had kind of a different sort of like threat, and each spirit had a different way in which it acted or pursued you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But in a lot of cases, it would end up being this very aggressive monster that would kind of chase you. And I have to say, that as much as I was enjoying sort of just the overall atmosphere of the game, the action sequences, or like the chase sequences, I found very frustrating. They felt like kind of an old sort of PS1 or PS2 game where they're very tight and not very forgiving.
Oh.
And so there are a lot of situations where like something would be chasing you, and you think you turn the corner in time, but actually you didn't, and you just get instantly murdered by this thing and have to restart at a checkpoint. And in the game's defense, it's very generous with how the checkpoints work. Like it's actually very rare for you to lose a significant amount of progress, or like any progress really. Like the most good I was ever set back was there was this one time I didn't use one of these little like quick save shrines that you encounter along the way. So I had to restart back at the house. But even then, that was like, I wasn't super bothered. I was just like, oh, should have used the shrine, I guess. Plus, something else that I found very interesting is that as you are collecting sort of the key items that you need to progress, as soon as you have it, it just stays in your inventory, even if you were to immediately get killed right after. So there are some cases where I would actually pick up an item and then just deliberately walk into a ghost that would then kill me, because it would set me back at a respawn point that was closer to wherever I needed to be. But I thought that was very nice, because it also just eliminates having to backtrack and navigate a bunch of ghosts again to get that one item that you needed. But still, there are so many of these chase sequences where I would go, okay, so I need to figure out the path that I need to take to get away from this ghost so I can get to where I'm supposed to go. And I also just need to just move my character very precisely to avoid getting tagged by this thing. And it got very repetitive in a few cases, to the point where I said, like a couple times, if I don't get this in the next couple tries, that might as well be it. Like, I feel like I've experienced enough of this game, which is unfortunate, because I liked most of the rest of it. Or really, I liked everything but these chase sequences.
But that part, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad, yeah.
Yeah, so overall, the chase sequences didn't amount to more than like I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes of the overall experience, but still, it felt like such an archaic thing to have in this game that found it a little off-putting.
Cool.
But like the rest of it was cool.
I was gonna say, did you find this compelling enough to want to play the sequel and the upcoming threequel?
So I don't know. I'm planning on reading up on it a little bit to see if they've improved the action sequences at all. But I think the answer is the sequel. I mean, I'll probably have to give it a little space because I just played this one, so I don't feel the need to jump into another one immediately. If they mentioned that, so the action sequences are improved at all, that'll be a plus. Because, sure, yeah, I'd be interested in playing with the next ones. I still like the idea of just this cute little character in a horror game and these weird cartoon ghosts wandering around. It's just like I said, it's just spooky enough. And it got me researching, like, I don't really know sort of, like, I'm not really familiar with the mythology around a lot of these, like, Japanese ghost archetypes. Like with Western ghosts, I mean, or whatever ghost you're familiar with, there's, certain expectations like, oh, ghosts, they all have unfinished business in the land of the living or whatever, or they can't cross bodies of water or whatever. Now I'm kind of mixing different sources up.
Yeah.
And so I was just wondering, like, oh, maybe if I had a better understanding of how these ghosts work, maybe some of the things in this game would make more sense. Like, there are points where it feels like you are sort of fulfilling a need that one of the spirits have. Like at one point you sort of return a lost item to one of the ghosts, and that's how you get it to leave you alone. Oh. Or there's this other ghost that, something in the town has been disturbed, so you need to go and sort of like fix it for this ghost to stop haunting the area. And during those sections, I was like, oh, okay, I could see that just being a thing with these spirits in general, but I didn't really know, is that sort of like how it always works? Is that how it works for specific ghosts?
Oh, because these are based on Japanese folklore.
I think so.
Chances are, if you're Japanese or close enough, you would know some of these things, presumably.
Yes. So I think if you saw these, like if you were like Japanese and playing this and you were familiar with Japanese ghosts, you would go, oh, of course, that's why this is happening.
Right.
So obviously I need to do this thing, and that'll fix everything.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it was, I didn't quite get that from, don't really see that playing Resident Evil or whatever. Right. But I thought it was just an interesting sort of mythology component in this.
Yeah.
That I would like to get more into. I wonder if the sequels have any more of that.
You need a little encyclopedia that tells you the background on these characters.
I do. Yeah. I need Tobin's Spirit Guide of the Japanese version. I really like how this happens to have sort of like cartoon versions of all these classic, or what I consider classic Japanese ghost archetypes. Like they've got the creepy girl with the long hair.
Sure.
And at one point, you walk by a wall and all these arms reach out of it. It was just like, oh, it's one of those. It's the arm wall, but it's like a cute cartoon version of it. So I was just like, it's so funny.
That's good.
So I would like to, I don't know, I'd like to see more of that in games which are not just visually terrifying. Is what I'm saying.
Cool. Sounds kind of neat.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot, except for the chase sequences. But other than that, it was cool.
So have you locked down your next Spooky Saturday stream?
I think the next one, there's this one guy he's like an indie dev, I think. And he puts out a bunch of these micro games under the name Chilla's Art. And they look incredibly terrifying. They look way scarier than Yomawari. Because they're all in first person and they're just like you in a really spooky environment. And I think I just got to do it. I'm just going to suffer through one or two of these. And we'll see how it goes.
Cool. So the name of this game again for our listeners.
This is a Yomawari Night Alone. There's a sequel, I believe, Yomawari Midnight Shadows. Or is that the third one? Anyway, there are two more of these games. The third one comes out later this month. Maybe I'll play them at some point.
Cool.
But this is actually on just about everything at this point. It's on Steam. It's on the Switch even. So if you're in for... you're looking for kind of a spooky, cute game to check out, and you don't mind a little bit of frustration with monsters chasing you, maybe give it a look.
Nice. Speaking of monsters chasing you,
Oh, no.
I've been playing Ooblets, which is a very different kind of monsters chasing you.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like, Pokemon chasing you.
Essentially, yes, yeah. Yeah, Ooblets is sort of this long in development, long in early access, finally got released as a 1.0 version this year, I think, after being in early access for like 2 or 3 years. And is now out on the Switch, as well as some other places. Kind of, like a little slice of life sim. You're a new resident in a quirky little town.
Wait a minute. Do you do farming in this?
You do, yes. Yeah, there is some farming. Yep.
Yeah, it just continues.
Yeah, it does. It's not just a farming sandwich anymore, DJ. It's a whole picnic.
It's just like, I don't know what it is at this point.
It's a farming buffet. So yeah, you are a new arrival in this town, and you have you're given a little plot of land, and immediately given a job supporting the mayor with no end of menial tasks that need to be completed throughout the town. And you're assigned an ooblet. What is an ooblet, you may ask? It's like a little Pokemon.
It's like a Pokemon.
Yeah,
right.
It's like a little pocket monster that follows you around. And there are tons of different ones that live in the town. In fact, everybody in town has a couple of I almost called them Pokemon. Has a couple of Ooblets handy at all given times, and they sort of parade around behind them in the streets. And as you walk past them, you can sort of pet other Ooblets on the head, or you can not battle them, but engage in a little dance party with them.
Okay, that's very wholesome.
It is super wholesome. There are daily dance parties, in fact, that happen where you can pick up new Ooblets and get them to sort of hang out with you. If you get enough of them, you get a little further into the game. You can give them little assignments. They can help you with some of the farming. They can help you with preparing materials to repair your house and things like that. So they're not just shadows, and they're not just sort of like dance partners. They become part of the game's kind of automation over time. And they're all cute. I think there's like 40 something different kinds of ones in the game, and they're all just funky little goofy woodland creatures, essentially.
Okay. For some reason, I was picturing them as like kind of amorphous. But
no, I feel like this
sounds like it's way off.
Yeah, a combination of like a Pokemon and a Pikmin. I feel like they all have kind of a natural vibe to them. At least the ones that I've encountered thus far. All look like blocks of wood, or a piece of a flower, or things like that. Maybe they get weirder as you collect further, but I've only gotten a handful thus far.
I think just the name makes me. It sounds like it should be a little slime pile or something.
Bloblets, yeah.
Yeah, Bloblets. That's the game I'm thinking of.
That must be it. Yeah, this is the sequel, Ooblets. None of that is accurate. I'm not sure. If you're listening to this and maybe easily gullible, that's not true. This game is called Ooblets. I'm not aware of a game called Bloblets. But yeah, so you get like a laundry list of errands. Of every day the mayor has some new stuff for you to do. And it requires you kind of going around and talking to everybody in the village and solving small mysteries. It's a lot of collect-a-thons. Fixing up your house and decorating it and getting new furniture. And eventually you can fix up a shop and run your own little shop, and you collect things that you then sell in your shop. So again, very much like an Animal Crossing or any number of games that we've reviewed over the last couple of weeks and months. It's a sim. It's a life sim where you get kind of errands to do every day. And whether or not you will find those satisfying, I guess, is probably your mileage may vary. Ooblets kind of trades on quirk in a big way. Like, everybody talks in very sort of funny sayings. There's a lot of like very kind of weird proper nouns that you're just supposed to sort of accept.
Wait. What do you mean they talk in funny sayings?
There's like a weird sort of rhythm to everything they say. Everything's a little snarky, but a little sort of like vague and kind of hard to comprehend. People have sort of like ruminations about their life or life in the village and things like that, but they say it. And I wish I had some examples. I should have wrote down some quotes.
So like the human characters speak like
the
this?
Human characters that you encounter, yeah.
Oh.
What was the one that I thought was super funny? One of the characters says, I'd have run for mayor of Badgetown, but my colorful history apparently precludes me from holding any sort of public office.
Okay.
So everything that is said to you is kind of like that. It's flowery and full of like snarky exposition. But it's not like Animal Crossing in that they have thousands of lines of dialogue. Like this person will say this to you for like 3 days in a row.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
They're all JRPG characters.
So it gets a little grating, a little tiresome.
Oh.
And the grind in this game is a little tiresome. Like everything is this massive laundry list of like things to do, but they're all like in Ooblet language. So, to fix up your house, you need 17 plankies and 22 booblies and 56 snarvel blatches. And I'm like, I don't know what any of that means, so I don't know what I'm looking for. So I just walk around the village and like pick up everything and touch everything and shake every tree and look in every box. And then it becomes nighttime and I go to sleep and I wake up the next morning and I find something to eat because your hunger meter is going off. And then I go and I pick up everything and I shake everything. And it gets a little exhausting, sort of not having kind of a clear path to the next destination. That I've gotten to the point where I just start Googling, like, what is a planky and where do I find it? What is a Google Platch and where do I find it?
It's a good thing you're getting on the ground floor with this, because wait until like Ooblets 3 and there's 2,000 of these things you have to know.
Maybe I'll speak the language by then, but at this point I just sort of feel like I'm really having trouble sort of deciphering what any of you are asking me to do. That said, it's all very charming. It's all super cute, very saccharine, like you said, super wholesome. It's a cute little like seaside village town with fun little houses and shops to explore. And there's a little Halloween event going on right now. So there's a cool little display set up in the middle of town where you get like a little trick or treat bucket. And as you talk to people throughout the course of the day, some of them will give you a little piece of candy. And if you get enough pieces of candy, you can buy cool little Halloween costumes and masks. And you can buy cool little creepy decor, like a little skull and crossbones print wallpaper for your house and stuff like that. So there's fun little Halloween-y stuff going on. I don't know if any of that will like pay off on Halloween Day. I'm not sure if we're building to some big event like Animal Crossing tends to do, or if it's just sort of like a flavor for the month of October. Regardless, it's cute. It's certainly more than they have to do in terms of heavy lifting to keep their game engaging. I think the thing that I'm just sort of finding to be kind of the brick wall is just sort of the density of the task list. It just seems like there's
the density of the Ooblets.
It's just like a lot to do and not a lot of like direction to go on.
Yeah. Are you meant to play this like an Animal Crossing? Like, does it seem like they want you to just keep coming back to this every day, or is there like a campaign kind of deal?
Yeah, there's a campaign. There's the developers have tweeted about sort of like end game content and stuff like that. So apparently upon sort of completing the pathway to all of the stuff, fixing up your house, running the mayor's errands, there's apparently some other things you can kind of keep doing on a daily basis. But it isn't like day for day like Animal Crossing is. It's an accelerated day-night cycle.
Yeah, it sounds like you're constantly sort of progressing something in this game.
Yes, as long as you're checking things off of these collectathon lists.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that there's a Halloween event in this, because I'm trying to think, a lot of games that have seasonal events that I've played anyway are more sort of the live service type, or like Animal Crossing, where it's just endless. But it'd be weird, like I couldn't imagine like Potion Permit, that I talked about last week, just having a seasonal event pop up for a few weeks, because then like Potion Permit will end at a certain point. I can just tell that's how the game works. So, if I didn't happen to be playing it in October, if they decided to do a Halloween event, I would just not see it ever. So I'm just wondering, like, is this a sort of game where people will just come back to it, like play it for an entire year because they're like upgrading their village or whatever?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the pathway is, if they've laid out a plan for like additional content or further expansion or DLC. There's a, I don't know if this qualifies as a spoiler, so block your ears if you're sensitive to Ooblets information. There's a hot air balloon on the island that you can fix up over time. And I believe it's a way to get to other islands, but I'm not sure if those are in the game yet. So again, like the runway on development on this thing has been very long. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much like additional content is out there. It feels it feels simultaneously grindy and also kind of slight.
Hmm.
Like my first thought upon playing it was like, wow, it took you guys 6 years to make this. Like,
Oh no.
and I don't know how long it takes to make video games, so that's a shitty thing to say. I will admit that, but it just, I don't know. I kind of felt like for the lead up and the amount of like feedback and work and pre-release and yada yada that kind of went into like this, that it would sort of arrive as a more kind of fully featured and fully assembled thing. But immediately at launch, it was a little broken, a little janky. The mechanism to operate your shop would crash the game on the Switch, so you were advised to not do that.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, they didn't have a fix for it on day one. It has since been fixed. In fact, the game runs much better now than it did a month ago, which is kind of what you want from a video game like this, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm an asshole, but I just sort of felt like, this doesn't feel like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like the kind of game that was painstakingly assembled over a number of years.
Well, they had to like design and balance 40 different ooblets. That doesn't happen overnight.
No, I know.
The ooblets just have like different functions around the town? Is that what it boils down to?
They're like your shadows. They're like your little pets. And they're meant to be yet another collectathon because your objective is to sort of get all of them.
Are there only like 40? Do you get duplicates?
But only some are available on certain days. And yeah, you can have duplicates on your little squad.
Oh, okay.
At the beginning of the day, you get like a little newscast that tells you, like, today on the island, you can get these 5 different kinds of ooblets.
Ooh.
So like, if you're sort of trying really hard to get them all, you are checking that pretty aggressively in the morning to make sure that, the ones that you're missing are available today, and how do I get them? I've not put a ton of work into trying to sort of court new ooblets to my team, but I don't have a lot of automation and stuff for them to do just yet. So the little dance battles are kind of fun, and cute more than anything. Everything is sort of like bouncy and super brightly colored, and the music is kind of funky, and they're pretty low friction, honestly. But it's I don't necessarily sort of feel compelled to like, I must collect all 40 versions of this thing.
Oh, wow, it's only 40. Why you feel like you just go for it?
I don't know where I got that number. That could be completely inaccurate, but that was the first thing that popped into my head. So,
but it's like about the right order of magnitude. It's not like 200 ooblets.
Maybe but for some reason, like I said, I have 40 in my brain. So
okay.
This is not a bad game. I don't want to leave anybody with the impression that I'm sort of like sour on this thing. It's just I feel like I've played a lot of games like this, and I have. That's not my imagination, and this is not the best of this thing. I can imagine if you're hungry, if you're starving for cozy games, if you're looking for kind of a low friction, more of a world building, city building, life sim version of a Pokemon kind of thing, then hey, maybe Ooblets is exactly the thing for you.
Yeah. I feel like you don't get sort of the town building aspect in Pokemon, at least not in the ones I played.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I probably have not lasted long enough in a Pokemon game to get to that point, but yeah, again, this may be the game for you. I feel like Ooblets does a lot of the things that, other games that I like more do, and I'm still content to go play those other games. So yeah, I was super excited about this. I love the art style. I really like the music. I listened to the soundtrack before the game even came out and thought it was fun. Those things certainly stand on their own. The experience of playing it is a little more tedious than I would like it to be.
Sounds kind of like my experience with Potion Permit, where I don't know how much of the sort of life sim experience I was expecting with that, but I find it mostly comes down to gathering ingredients for potions and making them, which probably should have expected, but it's not the next Animal Crossing for me or anything.
Yeah. And that's a lofty aspiration for an independent developer.
It is, yeah.
Both Potion Permit and Ooblets made by inevitably much smaller teams than Animal Crossing was, so it's probably not a fair comparison. But
what about Stardew Valley? That was just one guy.
That is sort of the counter argument to that perspective, I guess.
That's kind of an exception.
Yeah. And Stardew Valley was not the thing it is now when it first came out either, right? That game has grown immensely over the years. because people discovered it, kept putting money into it, and basically continued funding its development.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. That's the hell of a success story, right?
Yeah, it worked out very well for that guy.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah. So this is Ooblets. I played it on the Switch, but I know it's on Steam as well. I think it's on Xbox and PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Not PlayStation 2, PlayStation also.
I wish it was on PlayStation
2. That would be a hell of a way to play this, I think. Yeah. And that is it. I don't know that I'll keep playing it.
Oh, man. Well, disappointed to hear that. Maybe you think you'll make it through the Halloween event? I gotta know what happens on the 31st.
Yeah, I want to collect all the stuff. I want all the masks. I want all the little costumes. I want all the wallpaper.
Yeah. Wait. So is this like in real time? Like, will it actually be on October 31st, Halloween?
I imagine when they first started the Halloween event, they said that it will run until November 16th. So you'll have plenty of time to collect everything.
Okay. One of those kind of things.
So yeah, they have like the Halloween season. I don't know that we're necessarily sort of shooting for the day.
Okay, so it's not like you load up the game and it's like, oh, it's Tuesday, and it'll be Tuesday for the next 24 hours.
Yeah, no, the game does tell you like it's day 5, it's day 6, it's day 7, but it's not tied to a calendar. It's not tied to the same calendar that you and I live off of. Obviously,
got it. Yeah, that calendar,
right? The Roman calendar or whatever.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. Is I do find all of that cute, spooky stuff super compelling, and I will probably try to grab all of that. But yeah, I don't know that I'm going to run errands for everybody and try to collect 37 Google Platches or whatever.
Why wouldn't you?
I don't know what it is. I don't speak your language.
Oh man, I hope come back next week and you're just completely turned around and. I can't understand anything you're saying.
Yeah, I've turned a corner on this game, and yeah,
can only speak in the Ooblets language.
Yep. What I will throw out there at this point is, if you are looking for a cute, cozy, wholesome game that does have a bit of a spooky vibe to it, but is by no means horror, check out Spirit Scout instead.
Because wow, this took a left turn.
That has a sort of a day-night cycle. It has a little bit of a sort of like a collect-a-thon, build-a-thon, running errands for people kind of thing. But you're a little Girl Scout trapped on an island full of ghosts and trying to help them sort of wrap up their unfinished business.
You haven't even talked about this on the show. You can't just be like,
I have talked about this.
Completely different game. No, you haven't.
This game's like 2 years old. Yeah.
Spirit Scout?
Spirit Scout.
Right.
What's it called? Spirit Scout. That was called Cozy Grove. Didn't I say Cozy Grove?
Well, it sounds sort of like Spirit Scout.
Now you're confusing me. Cozy Grove.
Okay. You have talked about Cozy Grove.
Okay, I told you.
Wait, is the Spirit Scout a real game?
No, you are a Spirit Scout in Cozy Grove.
Okay. Oh, I was so confused.
Did I call the game Spirit Scout?
You said play Spirit Scout.
Oh, okay. Well, I screwed that up. That's a mistake.
Okay. Oh my god.
Rewind, do over. The game is called Cozy Grove.
Man, my head is just reeling.
I'm going to talk about it more next week. We're running out of time.
You talked about it previously. I want to hear more about Spirit Scout now.
I'm talking about being a Spirit Scout in Cozy Grove.
Okay. We'll do a rerun next week.
Ugh. I hate when podcasts do that.
Oh, man.
But anyway, we should wrap this up.
We should, before, I don't know, something else crazy happens.
Before I make up some other video game that I didn't play. If you need even more...
He's got the Ooblets in the brain now.
I do, yeah. Just saying random words and assuming people understand. If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, you should follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about this episode at VGHangover.com. You should join us on Discord. You can hang out with us, chat about video games. You can get a link to that at VGHangover.com. You can get more information about our plans for Extra Life coming up on November 5th. That is at VGHangover.com as well. And we would love for you to subscribe, rate, and review us on your podcasting app of choice. Help us out maybe by telling your friends about the show as well.
Yeah. Tell your friends we're looking for spooky game recommendations or something like that. I think that's how it works. But that would be great. It really helps us get sort of the word about the show, helps us grow the listener base. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We want to give thanks again to Saria Lemus this week for our intro and outro music. You can head on over to pettypanel.bandcamp.com and check out the rest of our work. Maybe buy an album or two.
Yeah. Although you probably bought all of them on Bandcamp Friday.
Oh, yes. So, I don't need to tell you that again. Just, buy them again.
Yeah.
Can you gift albums on Bandcamp to do that?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks for listening to Video Game Hangover. Good night.
Good night.
See you.